Have you ever wished you could see through someone in just a few minutes? No guessing, no manipulation, just a simple observations. And once you know them, you'll never see people the same way again. Most people wear masks. They show you what they want you to see: a friendly smile, a firm handshake, a few kind words. But behind that polished surface, there are subtle clues, soft, almost invisible, but powerful enough to reveal who they truly are. Once you learn to spot those clues, you'll start seeing what others miss, who's genuinely kind, and who's just putting on a show. So, what's the first observation? How they treat people who can't offer them anything. Want to know someone's true character? Watch how they act toward those who hold no value to them: waiters, janitors, cashiers, security guards, even strangers on the street. Someone who is only kind to those who benefit them is not kind. They're calculated. Do they ignore or belittle people they deem beneath them? That's their real face showing. One of the most telling character tests in psychology is called the waiter rule. It suggests that a person's true nature comes out when they interact with someone. They have no need to impress. Studies show that people with high emotional intelligence and strong moral integrity tend to treat everyone with respect, regardless of status. So pay attention to the red flags. Do they acknowledge the people who serve them? If they never say thank you to cleaners, cashiers, or receptionists, it's because they don't see them as equals. Do they shift their behavior depending on who's watching? Are they polite when you're there, but rude when alone? That's not kindness. That's a performance. How do they react when someone makes a mistake? Do they mock, overreact, or belittle? People who can't tolerate others' flaws often lack emotional maturity. Do they take advantage of people with no power to fight back? Like borrowing money and never paying it back, because they know the other person won't push her. If someone only respects those who can offer them something, their kindness is a transaction, not a reflection of who they are. Here's some advice. If you're in a relationship, friendship, or business with someone like that, brace yourself, because the moment they no longer need you, their attitude will shift. And now, let's talk about one of the clearest tests of character, the restaurant test. As we just explored, how someone treats people who can't benefit them is a powerful window into their character. But if you want to truly uncover who someone is, take them to a restaurant. Imagine you're on a dinner date. They're charming, polite, even funny. But then the waiter takes a bit too long and suddenly they snap. They don't even make eye contact while placing the order. That moment says everything. It's no longer the mask, it's the real personality showing through. The workplace test: you may have noticed a coworker who's overly respectful toward the boss, but when speaking to the cleaning crew or front desk staff, they're dismissive or even rude. That behavior reveals a fake personality, someone who respects power, not people. The everyday test: have you ever seen someone treat their friends with kindness but ignore a stranger struggling with their groceries? Or warmly greet someone they admire but act indifferent to those they deem unimportant? That's not genuine character. That's selective kindness, kindness with conditions. Carl Jung's work on the shadow self explains these behaviors. They often come from deep-rooted insecurities and a need to dominate or control. People who only respect those they fear or admire are usually hiding something darker, a part of themselves that only comes out when they think there are no consequences. But if you want to see a person for who they really are, you need to watch one more thing: how they behave when they have power. This is the ultimate test, because the true measure of character isn't how someone acts when things are easy. It's how they act when they're in charge. Give a person authority, money, or influence, then watch closely. Do they uplift others, or do they become arrogant, manipulative, even cruel? The truth is, power doesn't change people. It reveals them. Because power removes fear, strips away the need to impress, and kills the performance, people stop pretending and become exactly who they are. Psychologists have studied this for years. One of the most famous findings came from UC Berkeley's Dr. Dacher Keltner. His research revealed something shocking. When people gain power, they often become less empathetic, more impulsive, and more likely to break ethical boundaries. He called it the power paradox, the idea that people rise to power because of positive traits like kindness and empathy. But once they get it, they often lose those very traits. But why does this happen? As we explored earlier, power doesn't just change behavior, it changes the brain. This isn't metaphorical, it's biological. Brain scan studies show that people in positions of power experience reduced activity in the mirror neuron system, the area responsible for empathy. In simple terms, they literally care less. They begin to view others not as people, but as tools to reach their goals. So, let's take a look at real-life situations where power exposes true character. The workplace example: picture a colleague who's friendly and helpful when they're at your level, but then they get promoted. Suddenly, everything shifts. They no longer greet you in the hallway. They start micromanaging your work. They dismiss your ideas in meetings, ideas they used to value. Is it stress? No. It's power revealing their true self. The promotion didn't change them, it just removed the mask. On the flip side, someone with genuine character, they remain consistent. They still greet everyone. They still listen. They empower their team rather than control it. The relationship example: power isn't limited to offices or leadership roles. It shows up in romantic, family, and personal relationships too. Think about it. A friend becomes condescending once they know you need them. A romantic partner grows controlling after you fall in love. A family member becomes domineering once they hold the financial reins. Why? Because power changes the dynamic. And someone with weak character uses that imbalance to dominate. If someone's kind only when they need you, and distant once they feel in control, that's not a coincidence. It's a red flag. A clear sign that their nice side was only ever a strategy. True friends, true partners, real people of integrity, they treat you the same whether they hold power over you or not. The social status test: have you ever seen someone who used to be humble and approachable, but after gaining fame, money, or influence, they treat others as beneath them? Familiar? Someone once down to earth now acts cold, dismissive, or arrogant? That's not just lifestyle drift, it's a character test. And here's the most fascinating part. Why does the brain change under power? We'll break that down. And the long-term consequences we've seen. Power doesn't change people, it unmasks them. It strips away the performance and reveals who they've always been underneath. Carl Jung argued that once we no longer need others' approval, the raw self emerges, and if that self is manipulative, cruel, or selfish, it was always there. Power simply removed the filter. The historical example. Power and corruption history is full of examples of people who started as heroes and ended up as tyrants. Many dictators began as revolutionaries, fighting for justice, freedom, and equality. But once they seized absolute power, they became worse than the systems they opposed. Why? Because their true goal was never to help, it was to dominate. Kings and rulers who once promised liberation became oppressive the moment they gained full control. Remember Abraham Lincoln's famous quote, "Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." And this is why Carl Jung emphasized, to understand the shadow self, the hidden side of our personality, you must observe how someone behaves when they have the ability to do anything they want, because that's when their real self steps forward. According to Jung, they didn't change, they simply stopped hiding. But here's the real question. Why does power corrupt some people, but not others? It comes down to three things. 1. Self-awareness. People who understand their weaknesses are less likely to be ruled by them. If you've explored your shadow self, as Jung describes, you can better resist the temptations of power. 2. Strong moral values. When someone is guided by fairness, virtue, and compassion, they see power as a responsibility, not a tool. They don't manipulate, they don't exploit. They use power to elevate, not to crush. 3. Accountability. Most dangerous people in power are those who answer to no one. No checks, no criticism, no consequences. Surround yourself with people who aren't afraid to challenge you, because sometimes The harsh truth protects us more than a kind lie. And now comes the hardest question. What does your power say about you? Do you treat people differently when you have the upper hand? Is your kindness conditional? Would you still be the same person if no one was watching? How you answer those questions will define your true character. And if you're already dealing with someone like this, someone who uses power to manipulate, the first step is to stop making excuses for them. Once you see things clearly, once you've identified someone who misuses power or crosses your boundaries, the next step is simple: protect yourself. You may not be able to cut them off completely, but you can create emotional distance. 1. Create emotional distance. See if you can't walk away right now. Reduce what you share with them, especially your struggles and vulnerabilities, because manipulators often weaponize your weakness later. 2. Test their character early before trusting someone. Observe how they treat others when no one's watching. That's where their true self shows. 3. Set clear boundaries. People like this test your limits constantly. They'll guilt trip, gaslight, and manipulate you into doing what benefits them. So set boundaries and enforce them. Example: if they insult you, I won't engage in conversations that put me down. If they guilt trip, I understand you're upset, but my decision stands. Be firm. No justifications. 4. Don't try to fix them. Many people waste years waiting for someone to change. The hard truth: if they wanted to change, they already would have. Instead, invest your time in people who treat you with kindness from day one. 5. Maintain control over your life. Toxic people want you to feel dependent emotionally, financially, mentally. Stay grounded. Have a support system outside of them. If they're a boss or relative, begin finding ways to reduce their influence on your decisions. 6. Watch how they handle conflict. How they lash out, guilt trip, or get revenge when things don't go their way. That's a clear sign of toxicity. 7. Trust the signs, not the excuse. Carl Jung said we often ignore truth because it makes us uncomfortable. But the more you ignore it, the deeper it affects you. If someone acts entitled, arrogant, or suddenly shifts after gaining power, don't excuse it. Recognize it. If someone consistently disrespects, manipulates, or uses you, it's time to step back. Now that you understand how to see through people, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you pay more attention to how they treat those who can't offer anything? Will you watch how they act when they're in control? Because once you see the patterns, you can't unsee them. This awareness is your superpower. It protects you, builds better relationships, and most importantly, helps you choose the right people to keep on. But here's the deeper truth. To spot true character in others, you must also reflect on your own. How do you treat people beneath you? How do you behave when you hold power? Growth begins with self-awareness. So ask yourself, if someone watched you through this same lens, what would they see? If this video opened your eyes, don't stop here. Hit that like button, share it with someone who needs this, and subscribe for more insights on psychology, self-mastery, and personal growth. Now I want to hear from you. What's one behavior you've witnessed that instantly revealed someone's true nature? Drop it in the comments. Let's start a real conversation. Thanks for watching. And remember, character isn't what we say, it's